All right, we're live.
All right. What's
Good morning,
happening,
everybody.
dude?
How's it going?
It's going great. How's it going with you?
Good, good. I just had a great evening and very healthy, tasty breakfast cooked outside. It's nice.
That's
And
cool.
yeah. Just got back from all that and took a shower and ready to talk about losing your mojo.
MoJo. I lost my mojo.
I'm not going to name any names, but several years ago, I had a very well-known direct response marketing guy that we both spent a considerable amount of time with come to me as a hypnotist and say, "Tillman, like I totally lost my mojo. How do I get my mojo back?"
Yeah.
And it was great because it was a very specific request, right? And like it was that no one had ever asked me for. But when you say, "Have you ever lost your mojo?" most people kind of know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? So I know that we've both had, as most entrepreneurs who stick around for any length of time do, lots of ups and lots of downs,
Yep.
lots of wins, lots of crash and burns, lots of things that could have been wins that weren't, right?
Yeah.
And so so first of all, if you guys are watching us, have you ever lost your mojo? Tell us about it in the comments. How'd you get it back? Or did you? Is it still lost? Where are you at? We want to hear about it, right? It's a very common thing. Entrepreneurs, especially marketers, they like to publicize their
The wins. Yeah.
And the reason is because wins sell. Okay, if all you do is talk about your losses all the time, nobody wants to listen to you whine and complain about all the things that suck in your life. Like nobody wants to do that, and and you end up becoming a big downer real fast. Admitting some losses along the way to help like balance your ego out a little bit is a really good strategy. But the thing is that people will remember your wins. As a general rule, they won't remember your losses nearly as much as you do because they're painful for you, and for them that was just like some weird thing that, who knows what that even means. Facebook user
Muhammad. That's Muhammad in the Art of Email Marketing group.
Oh, cool. Hey, Muhammad, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Like getting comfortable. Totally, right? That's one of the things that can happen. So what about you, Joshua? What are some times that you've lost your mojo? What are some times that you've got it back? What have you learned from that?
It's a constant up and down cyclical battle, I think, at least for me, just being real honest. And I think that we do a disservice only talking about how simple something is, how fast it works, or how incredible it is. Because it sets unrealistic expectations. Because the fact of the matter is there are more losses, more failures, more mistakes than there are wins. It just is the way that it is. Now, you obviously can minimize them more and more as time goes on. But if you're not stacking up failures, so to speak, then you're not pushing the limits, and your business is going to start to take a nosedive. It's just the way it is. So I just wanted to, kind of point that out, as it were, because I think that, in guru land, there's a tendency to, make it sound so simple to sell, but then it builds unrealistic expectations into the mix. And then people are pissed at the person teaching it, even if it's the greatest, method in the world, that really is, it is the goose that lays golden eggs, right? But it only lays one golden egg a month, but they've been told that it lays a golden egg every 5 minutes. Well, they're going to be pissed because it's misrepresented, even though it's an amazing technique that gets one gold egg coming in every single month, like clockwork. So anyway, so what have I done? When have I lost my mojo? Well, I mean, the first thing that I've done when I figure it out, because oftentimes I don't realize that I've lost it until it's gone, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
you get off track little bit by little bit by little bit. And but as soon as I finally realized, holy shit, I'm off course by miles and miles and miles, I go back to the basic fundamentals for me, which is taking a weekly inventory of what's working, what's missing, what's next, getting clear with some written vision type goals of what I want to do, where I'm going, where I want to generally head, and then what I've been doing for the last 2 years that has been working gangbusters for me is coaching myself every single morning through the morning writing, the morning reflection writing time. And it really helps because when I'm pissed or when I'm feeling, frustrated that I'm not making enough progress fast enough, then I can actually get that frustration down on paper and examine it. And then I can actually then, evaluate it, coach it, figure out what's next from that standpoint. So that's what I've done.
Yeah. I mean, you've talked about that a lot, especially in the last, 6 months since we've been really actively working together a lot more. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the journaling process, when you use that, I mean, you said you originally started with the Artist's Way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, Randy, my friend Randy Gage turned me on to it in his his prosperity. I think it was Prosperity Power Experience, and that's when I first learned about it. And I didn't stick with it. Like I did a lot, and I've journaled, like crazy throughout the years at various points in time, but never this religiously, never to this end like this. And the way that I was able to get started with it was,
hey Joshua.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is just on my end or your end or in the live stream or in the broadcaster, but inside of the restream here, will you move your head around? Yeah, you're totally frozen. Would you actually turn your camera off? Oh, actually, let me just turn you off and turn you back on again. Let me see if that works.
Okay.
And can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm not getting any kind of video feed from you anymore.
Huh.
Maybe you could try restarting, why don't you try re-logging in to Restream?
Am I still frozen?
Oh, you're back now.
Okay.
A little choppy. Okay, you're good. All right, we're back. Sorry to interrupt. Okay.
So I don't know quite where I was when we had that technical difficulty. So, I remember that I was the times in the past that I have attempted to stick with journaling. The breakdown, at least for me, was that I felt like it had to be. It was too much work. It had to be perfect, or I had to be really profound. And when I got started with it, I just decided that whatever comes out, it comes out. And I decided also that I was going to start it every day for 30 days straight, and I was going to reevaluate it at the end of 30 days. And my only goal was to write a minimum of 3 pages a day for 30 days. And if I didn't like what was going on, if it wasn't serving me, then at the 30-day mark, I gave myself permission to stop.
Right.
And the beginning was rough, man. It was like, sometimes it was like really disjointed. And there were times, frankly, that I thought, it was like terrible. And I was just writing whatever stream of consciousness came to mind. And, interesting thing was that when I reviewed it before going to bed at night, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was when I was writing it the first time, Yeah. And so anyway, the long and the short of it was that at the end of 30 days, I said, all right, I'm going to keep doing this for a bit. And I think the next time I gave myself permission to stop was at either the 90-day or the 6-month mark, and then the year mark. And then by then I was just like in it, and it was serving me so well because I could really adjust my moods. I'm sure that it would serve me well in the future to also make sure that I haven't fallen into some sort of, rut with it, and that it's still serving me,
Right.
and to make adjustments from there. But
What exactly is it about that process that for you has helped you to get your mojo back after you've lost it?
it goes back to Carl Jung's quote about, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. By getting it down on paper, I have the ability to make what is unconscious, when I'm just thinking about it and I'm in the moment, and actually evaluate it consciously, look at it, and have a conversation with my unconscious mind, kind of. And it brings more clarity, more openness to me. Besides the insights that come, besides the excitement and the breakthroughs and whatever else have you, that I get from that, which always came when I journaled. I mean, like that was the fun part about it for me. But it was the ability to, feel the evolution in myself, feeling like I was making progress personally and not repeating the same kind of unconscious errors that, were causing me to crash and burn in other areas of my life.
Important points. So what questions do you guys have about mojo? Have you ever lost your mojo? Did you get it back? Let's hear about what's going on. It's interesting. Like my first reaction to this idea, like when I first started hearing about it, was like, man, I must have a lot of, as a hypnotist, I'm like well equipped here to get my mojo back. Like, I'm very well trained in NLP. I've been doing hypnosis for 20 years. Like, I can create hypnosis sessions for myself anytime I want. I wrote a book on self-hypnosis. Like, I should know how to do this stuff, right? And
Yeah.
I'm really good at doing it for other people.
Ain't that the truth?
and in the short term, like, the way I deal with this with myself is, like, some days or parts of some days I'll be on fire, just ready to rock and roll, ready to go full force, right? And then other days I'll just be not so useful. And I've just learned how to roll with that and maximize the days when I'm on point and use those to really catch up and kind of do my best work. But what I wasn't used to was the idea of, like, slipping into a long loss of mojo state. That hadn't happened to me in many, many, many years. And when it did, it, like, really kicked my ass. And I'm in the process of getting my mojo back right now after a few years of, like, with the whole divorce situation and everything else, like, just completely annihilated me. And so I'm kind of rebuilding my view of the future and kind of from the bottom up, finding out and rediscovering what I'm excited about in the future. And as that happens, I have longer and longer and longer periods where I'm able to get in the game and get completely focused, completely obsessed, and really rock it. But what's difficult is remembering to do the supportive things that aren't about whatever, making the money. So, like, eating 3 nutritious meals a day with protein in them, and exercising every morning, and sleeping really well every night, and remembering to take my vitamins every day, and all the other things that you need to do in order for your life to go really, really, really well. What happened in my case was, like, my whole routine of and what happens in everybody's case, I'm sure if they go through divorce, is I had a partner for 22 years, right? And then all of a sudden the way I did everything changed, you know? And I was bad with routines to begin with. So what's been happening is I've been learning how to get my mojo back by, doing new things, learning new things, meeting new people, and stimulating my brain in new ways. Right.
You know, I've always admired that in you, Tillman, the way that you have always had hobbies or interests that were far beyond, you know, just business and marketing. And one of the things I discovered about myself that set me on this journey back in like 2009, when we were at Necker Island with Joe and Yannick and Branson and the gang back in the day, I was really in a point of like, that's when I got back from that trip in May of 2009 and made the decision to shut down my entire business operations because of the realization that I didn't know what I wanted. Like I was boring. Like I didn't have any interest outside of building more, better, bigger, those types of things, as opposed to what do I really want in life? What would fill me up? What would make me, feel good about what I'm doing? And I always admired what you, like, I remember one time you were down visiting me, I think. And you, or maybe you were doing some blacksmithing, some lessons. And I was like, what? Like just outrageous, crazy stuff that you were always interested in. I was like, that's really cool. I don't have anything like that right now. My dogs became that. A long time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was actually just talking with my son about this yesterday. We were walking around and, so my son Torger's 13 and he, as happens with kids, he's a lot like me. Right. And so, and COVID has been hitting hard. Right. And so what's happened? Well, all the kids have been home and my son is just as addicted to the screen as I am.
Right.
And, like growing up, I was just a complete video game fiend. And if I don't, and right now I'm going through another very long period of my life where I'm not playing any video games at all, which is really good sign because it probably means I'm going to make a lot more money. Like I've always find less video games equals more money for me. But the thing is that Torger has been he's been playing a lot of video games. He's been on screen. I mean, prior to the summer hitting, he was on screen, during the day for his Zoom classes. And then the only way you can meet with friends is on screen too, really, And so he's found that doing things that don't involve screens aren't very fun anymore. Right. And so what you have to do.
It's addicting. I mean, it's like what was those studies that turned out that they that the dopamine hit that comes when you get likes on your posts and videos and like shares and all of that, like that's strange, that you get an actual high from it, but like that's addicting.
I mean, it's a compliment. They're micro compliments, right? And like people love getting complimented, I mean, most people really like praise, right?
Sure.
And
that's
so
recognition's lacking in everybody's lives, I think.
That's right. And I'll tell you what, a lot of the video games that are out there give an enormous amount of recognition after you like beat the giant bad guy and the whole way. I mean,
and you get different levels. So you get awarded different names or points and maybe there's I don't know about the role playing games these days, but I remember back in the day, I was into arcade games because of course I'm ancient. But I remember Asteroids and Missile Command and all of that. And there was, the leaderboard and your goal was to get up onto the leaderboard in the top 25 and then move your way up.
That's right.
Gene, what's up? And Stefan, thank you very much. Stefan, it's awesome that you're watching on YouTube. Can you kind of share with us what it was that resonated for you so that I know? Can you be a little bit more specific so that I know what was helpful and, learn from it myself?
And Shinjuan, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to mention that you have a comment.
Shinjuan, how's it going, dude? I hope you're well. You usually are. It's been a long time. We should get on the phone, and I'd love to find out what you're working on, man. And Jean says that her sons are both grown, and they still play games. I mean, I'm not saying that people shouldn't play games. I think games are great as a general rule. Even I think video games are great too. But especially for certain personality types, they are exceptionally addictive. And what will happen is you can get so addicted to whether it's social media, whether it's video games, that you no longer get feelings of joy, of connection from actually doing things in the real world with real people.
Yeah.
And so a big part of that is like, so is finding things that interest you and like doing them kind of even if you don't feel like it, right? On a regular basis. And the way that I do that is I do it best with other people, right? So if I want to like expand or improve or grow an area of my life, then like if I wanted to start doing yoga, then I would probably try to join a yoga class with a friend, right? So I had somebody that was going to hold me accountable, that I knew I had to show up to, that I was going to be there with them, or whatever it was, whatever that thing was, blacksmithing classes, whatever, whatever your area is that you want to explore.
Yeah.
What are
I was just thinking that my single best piece of advice to of reclaiming your mojo would be to start setting process goals first, whatever that is for you. And what I mean by a process goal is stop looking at the outcome as being, all or nothing, and set yourself a promise of, completing some sort of action or activity or something over the course of a certain amount of time, be it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever. And don't care about the outcomes. Like, celebrate the fact that you saw it through and you finished what you said you were going to do in terms of actually sitting down. That's what I did when I first started writing, was, I'm going to just write. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or whatever, but I'm going to follow through and do that. So I think that process goals really allow the momentum to start to build in a unique way. And, just like you didn't get off track, a mile at a time, you got off inch by inch and didn't notice. That's the only way to get back on track, is inch by inch. And yet, you're trying to reclaim your mojo in all one fell swoop because we remember how good it was back in the day, right?
Right.
And so I would just recommend setting process goals and, give yourself permission to fail, so to speak, so that you're not so dialed into the need for, the need for it to look a certain way in order to feel good. Any excuse to, Susan said, and celebrate each goal met, celebrate in the same way each time. Yeah, absolutely. And set yourself up in the beginning to win. So make sure that the goals that you're setting, that's why I'm talking about like process goals to start with. Let yourself off the hook. I don't know if people watching are drivers like me and, like the push for the entrepreneurial, always wanting to be, striving and growing for bigger and more and expanding. But set yourself up so that in the beginning, don't give a shit about, what the outcome looks like. Just celebrate the fact that you are honoring your word and that, you're making shit happen.
That's right. So another piece to the puzzle here is process goals are really good. Whether you're working on, and again, if you feel like you lost your mojo, one of the things you can do is, like, outside of business, right? Work on your mind, work on your body, work on your soul, right? Like, in whatever way that means, like, work on your mind, learn something new, right? Work on your body, start working out in a different way or more, right? And
Right.
whatever, if any type of spiritual practice resonates with you, whether it be meditation or something more organized, it's cool. And then finally, to the best of your ability, spend time with people who've got the mojo that you want to give back, because one of the best ways to kind of get back on point is to have conversations with people who are on point in the way you used to be, or in the way you want to be, right? And I try to have one valuable conversation every day with at least one person that's making a significant amount of money more than I'm making right now, right? So, and as I'm doing that and ramping that up more and more, guess what happens? More and more and more wonderful opportunities fall into your lap. Now your schedule starts filling up. Now you don't have time to think about the fact that you lost your mojo and you're back in action, right?
Right.
That's basically, in my experience, business-wise, that's really how it's worked for me.
For sure.
Fill up my schedule talking to smart people who are doing cool stuff. Like,
we got to get to our NPod clients in 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes.
We absolutely do. So with that said, thanks for being here, everybody.
Happy Mojo, everybody.
Happy Mojo. This is Kelman and Joshua, and we will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern to talk about marketing, list building, and entrepreneurship.
What?
Thanks, everybody. Over and out.
See
Bye-bye.
Bye.